Ah, yes, Mantis, the show that looked at 1994 at the absolute dead zone of network superhero television and decided the appropriate response was, you know what Fox viewers actually need? Not another white guy in spandex. What they need is a paralyzed black scientist shot by police, which we are saying out loud at 8 p.m. on a Friday, who builds a mechanically augmented exoskeleton from his own research budget and uses it to fight the exact system that put him in that wheelchair in the first place without killing anyone because he's better than that. Fox looked at all of that, the ambition, the politics, the Batman screenwriter produced pilot and said, needs more white actors and fewer feelings. Classic. In January 1994, Fox aired a 2 hour pilot that was, without qualification, the most politically ambitious superhero project produced for American network television before or since. It was written by the man who wrote Batman. It starred a black actor who would go on to voice one of the most beloved characters in DC animation history. It was about police violence, institutional racism, and a disabled black scientist who decides to fix what the system won't without becoming the thing that broke him. Fox then took everything that made it remarkable and removed it piece by piece before the series premiered. This is the story of Mantis and how it still stings. Now, here's the thing they don't put in the press kit. The man who wrote the Mantis pilot was Sam Hamm. Yes, that Sam Hamm, the screenwriter who wrote Tim Burton's Batman in 1989, one of the most commercially successful superhero films ever produced. The man who, at the height of that, could have written anything. But in 1994, he was here, working with Sam Raimi, the director of Evil Dead, Darkman, and future director of Spider Man, on the 2 hour Fox TV movie about a black man shot by a police sniper during a riot while trying to save a child, left paralyzed, lost a lawsuit against the police department, and discovered evidence of an ongoing conspiracy against the black community, and then built an exoskeleton not to become a symbol, but to fix what the institution refused to. That was the assignment, and Fox was already deciding it was a bit too much. And let's keep it a buck. What Ham and Raimi made is not a superhero show in the way the genre was using that phrase in 1994. At its structural core, it is a story about state violence, personal accountability, and what a man of wealth and conscience chooses to do when the legal system fails him and fails his community completely. The fact that it involves a flying car and a powered exoskeleton is almost incidental. Dr. Miles Hawkins, played by Carl Lumbly, with the precision and moral weight the role absolutely required, is a biophysicist, wealthy, politically engaged, vocally critical of how power operates in Ocean City, the fictional but unmistakably black urban community where the plot is set. He is not hiding in a mansion signing checks, he is in it. When a riot breaks out, Hawkins turns towards the violence to pull a child out of it. Then a police sniper puts a bullet in his spine. And of course, the shooter walks. Miles sues the police department and loses. And in the process of losing, he discovers that the bullet was not an isolated incident of negligence. It was one date point in a documented ongoing conspiracy against the black community by the institutions he had trusted to be better than their worst moments. He does not become a killer. He does not turn vigilante in the punitive sense. He builds the mechanically augmented neurotransmitter interception system, aka the Mantis suit, because his philosophy is specific and stated. You should be able to stop crime without killing anyone. The suit lets him walk. It gives him superhuman strength and speed. It fires paralysis darts. Non lethal, of course, because always non lethal. The technology he builds around the suit is frankly committed. The Seapod, an underwater research facility deep beneath his secluded seaside mansion. The Chrysalis, a flying car that also functions as a submarine because Hawkins commits fully to the concept he starts. The mask he wears has glowing hypnotic lenses that can render a person temporarily incapacitated, an ability that was notably dropped from the series. And at every crime scene, he leaves behind a small metal mantis as a calling card because he has a sense of theater and because why not? The pilot assembled around them is a full black professional ensemble with stakes and interiority and texture. Gina Torres, yes, that Gina Torres. Years before Firefly in suits as Dr. M.A.N.T.I.S, a pathologist, and Christopher M. Brown as African graduate students of Hawkins who serves as its operational support staff. And then there's the late great Steve James as Anthony Pike, running an inner city youth club in the community Mantis has appointed himself to protect. The world of the pilot is a black professional world, not a monolith, not a backdrop, a community, one that has been systematically betrayed by the institutions designed to protect it, and is now reckoning with what betrayal actually costs. A world in which the superhero's superpower is at its deepest level, the refusal to become what was done to him. That is not a Friday night franchise origins. That is a moral argument, and Ham and Raimi knew exactly what they were making. So let's keep it a buck. Fox didn't see a moral argument. Fox saw a 2 hour pilot that had performed well in the ratings, that could be stripped down to a procedural franchise and contained, in the network's estimation, too many feelings for a genre slot. After the pilot was picked up to series, Sam Hamm and Sam Raimi were removed as executive producers. Enter Bryce Zabel and James McAdams, who took over, and then methodically, efficiently, with what new producers described as strictly creative reasoning, everything that made the pilot distinct from every other network superhero show was systematically extracted. All 4 supporting cast members gone, replaced by Roger Rees as John Stonebreak, a quirky British scientist who invents gadgets, and Christopher Garton as Taylor Savage. Taylor Savage, a streetwise white bike courier who becomes Mantis' sidekick. The only person of color in the regular cast of the series is Lieutenant Leora Maxwell, played by Galen Gorg, who is also, because the show needed a procedural hook, simultaneously hunting Mantis as a vigilante. The setting moved from Ocean City, the specific texture black urban community of the pilot, to Port Columbia, a generic multicultural West Coast city with no particular character. The vast institutional conspiracy against the black community became one villain, Solomon Box, a corrupt industrialist and Miles' former business partner, because one Batman is a manageable franchise engine, while systemic conspiracy is not. Bob Greenblatt, Fox Senior Vice President of Drama Series Development, explained the changes directly. Quote, I thought the pilot was too grim and too realistic. We wanted to bring out the fantasy element of the story. We didn't want to do episodes about the human condition every week. Unquote. The human condition every week on television.
Oh man, what you selling?
Categorically unacceptable. The Los Angeles Times ran the story on August 25th, 1994, the day before the series premiered, under the headline Mantis undergoes pilot to series changes. New producers of TV series about an African American superhero cite creative reasons. Others claim racism. Carl Lumbly, still in the lead role, said publicly those elements, the fact that he had African scientists that he was working with, the fact that he was interested in the community, and he didn't define the community as simply the community of black to which he belonged, but the overall community. It was a noble effort. And I believe that while we did the best we could with the series, the producers who came forward to pick it up after the pilot were not as courageous and did not have the vision. And I'm being as kind as I could be. End quote. Mic drop. The new producers denied that Fox denied that the changes stayed. And on August 26, 1994, the series premiered carrying the same name and the same lead actor and none of the same documents. The series ran August 26, 1994 to March 3rd, 1995, 22 episodes, and the trajectory is exactly what you would expect from a show whose original architecture has been gutted and replaced with a procedural frame that doesn't fit the premise or the narrative. The first half of the season tried to make the reluctant vigilante formula work: weapons heists, underground fighting rings, yakuza incursions. The structure of a genre show doing genre show things, starring a character who was designed for something structurally different, a man whose entire identity was built around a specific political act of institutional violence, now being asked to fight unrelated criminals in a city with no memory of Ocean City and no interest in its history. Poor ratings, of course, led to an extensive retool midway through, and damn does that retool commit. Men in Black from a parallel dimension, time travel, mad scientists, ghosts, monsters. In one episode, Miles is accidentally thrown 32 years into the future and discovers that his own technology has been exploited to build a supercomputer called the City Eye, which has enslaved the entire population of Port Columbia. He destroys it, he returns to his own time. The universe offers no comment. Now, fast forward to the finale. Yes, the series finale, the last episode that may or may not have been broadcast on Fox, as far as memory serves. It involves Miles Hawkins and Lieutenant Maxwell trapped and killed by an invisible bulletproof dinosaur. They detonate the fuel cell in their car to destroy it, and John Stonebright seals the Mantis technology to prevent an apocalyptic future. An invisible, bulletproof dinosaur.
I don't think so.
Home fries trying to punk us out.
The man Sam Hamm created to investigate institutional conspiracy to be, as Carl Lumbly later described it, an individual who's betrayed by the state who comes back without bitterness to do something about the kind of violence that put him in the chair, is killed by something that thermal imaging renders a vaguely T-Rex shape. Peak Mantis grimness, not the grimness that was designed into the character, the grimness of watching something run afoul. The final two episodes were broadcast on the Sci-Fi Channel on September 7th and 14th, 1997, 2 years after cancellation, because the universe doesn't clean up after itself. It just lets the material sit in a broadcast window somewhere waiting. Here's what Mantis is in the context of what the pilot was actually about. Carl Lumbly went on to voice John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, in the Justice League animated series, which is one of the most beloved performances in DC animation history, a character defined by displacement, by the loss of an entire world, by the particular weight of being the last of something, carrying a civilization inside himself in a universe that doesn't fully understand what it's standing next to. If you have heard John Johns speak and felt the moral gravity in that voice, you have some sense of what was available in the Mantis pilot and never fully deployed in the series. Lumbly was always capable of bearing that weight. After the pilot, the show largely stopped asking him to. The argument for Mantis as the most progressive superhero property of 1994 is not complicated. A black hero whose origin is explicitly police violence, whose response to that violence is non lethal, principled, and community oriented, whose support network is a black professional class and agency and expertise, whose antagonist is systemic, a conspiracy, an institution, rather than a single legible villain in a warehouse. This is not progressive in the sense of performing politics as set decoration. It is progressive at the structural level in the DNA of how the story is told and what the story is actually about. Fox looked at all of that in January 1994, watched the pilot perform, and then spent the next 7 months removing it. Miles Hawkins has the exoskeleton, the chrysalis, and the C-pod, and the paralysis darts. None of it matters because the document and assignment was filed under creative differences. The cast was replaced, and somewhere in the series finale, an invisible bulletproof dinosaur is still waiting. Not soft, not subtle, not hopeful, just a big mechanically augmented reminder that out there in the network notes, something already decided your black superhero was too much of a statement and not enough of a franchise. And it wasn't even mad about it, it just wanted better demographics. Whatever. If you want genuine video essays on cult television, autopsies, retro animation, and forgotten pop culture, subscribe to Pulp Vision. No content farms, no trend chasing, and definitely no slop.